Hello viewers, myself Harpi Srivastav with a new topic in economics. The topic for today's discussion is social welfare function that is within the framework of new welfare economics. Before this, I have loaded three lectures regarding welfare economics. The first one is Pavlovian welfare economics, second Paretian optimum, and last one that was of compensation criteria or compensation principle. Having limitations there in different theories earlier discussed, now the more improved theory of welfare economics within new welfare economics is social welfare function. So today I am going to discuss social welfare function. This system of welfare economics was first worked out by Professor Bergson, and it has been endorsed and further developed by Professor Samuelson and Tintner. Let us have a brief introduction of social welfare function. And what is the definition of social welfare function? As it originates with Bergson, and Bergson defines social welfare function as a function either of the welfare of each member of the community or of the quantities of product consumed and services rendered by each member of the community. The social welfare function is completely general in as much as it takes into account external economies and diseconomies, as well as dependence of one person's satisfaction on other people's welfare. And the social welfare function can be considered as a function of each individual's welfare, which in turn depends only on his personal well-being, but on his measurement of the distribution of welfare among all the members of the community. It is a sort of a collective utility function. So here social welfare function firstly takes into account individual welfare function and then have the aggregation makes it a collective utility function that decides the total welfare situation of the society, and that's why it is called social welfare function. Now I am going to illustrate about social welfare function. A social welfare function is an ordinal index of society's welfare and is a function of the utility levels of all individuals of the general form. In mathematical expression, we can say that welfare is the function of U1, UT, and so on UN, where U is the level of utility index of the individual as shown in the slide. It is a sort of social indifference curve and shows the various combination of UA and UB that give society the same level of satisfaction or welfare as in the case of indifference curve. We find the same level of satisfaction on the each and every point of indifference curve. Like indifference curve, we have higher and lower levels of welfare functions, as lower level of indifference curve show lower level of satisfaction and higher level of indifference curve shows higher level of satisfaction or welfare. Movement along a social welfare function, however, makes one individual better off and the other worse off, as the case as in the case of indifference curve, in context of discussing about two individuals when there is a movement on the same indifference curve or along the difference in along the different point along the same indifference curve on its different point, one going to better while other going to worse off. So this is all about social welfare function and its working as on the principle of indifference curve analysis. Here in the slide entitled to construct social welfare function, I am going to discuss how we are in position to construct a social welfare function. In order to construct a social welfare function, society must make value or ethical judgments. That means interpersonal comparison of utility is utmost requirement for construction of a social welfare function. That is, since a movement along a social welfare curve, that is SWC, one individual better off while other worse off. In order to get a social welfare function, society must compare the two individuals in deservedness. Economists have developed some compensating criteria which enables us to make interpersonal comparisons of utility in an objective fashion. As in my previous lecture, I have already discussed compensating criteria, or what are the principles involved in compensating by one to the other or vice versa. So, having the compensation principle in mind, the economists are in position to make interpersonal comparisons of utility in an objective fashion. Nevertheless, a social welfare function could be developed under certain circumstances in democracy through voting, as said by K.J. Arrow, or failing that by a dictator. Here, matter comes before the economists that in what way one can go to evolve a social welfare function where individual is the best judge of his own welfare. So how one can go for aggregation, and here comes under discussion the term democracy. So democracy is based on the principle of majority of the masses, and that's why Professor K.J. Arrow said that in case of policy decisions we can proceed by constructing a social welfare function in context of democratic setup of the society. And if there is not the situation of democracy, that can be decided by a dictator. And anyway, the construction of a social welfare function is very difficult, if not impossible. So, however, it looks quite simple that it is easy to construct a social welfare function, but it is quite a difficult task, and sometimes it feels impossible to construct a social welfare function. Here in this slide entitled Point of Constant Bliss, or point of maximum welfare, maximum social welfare. I am going to discuss how we achieve the point of maximum social welfare. Here, by superimposing the social welfare function of social indifference map. The graph in the slide here shows social indifference map. Here W1, W2, W3 are the three indifference curves, social indifference curves. And there is the grand utility possibility frontier that is shown by GG in the graph already given in the slide. So, by superimposing the social welfare function of social indifference map on the grand utility possibility frontier, we can determine the point of maximum social welfare, or it is also called point of constant bliss by some of the economists. This is being illustrated in figure as shown here. The point E, where the grand utility plausibility frontier is tangent to second indifference curve, social indifference curve, that is W2. Here the highest social indifference curve that is touched by the grand utility possibility frontier. So, the highest indifference curve that can meet with grand utility possibility frontier is W2. And so, this can be said that point E, where the grand utility possibility frontier is tangent to W2, the highest attainable social welfare function, and the choice of this point is basically the choice of a particular income distribution. Here there is a reservation. Here we suppose that there is a given situation of income distribution, as it is already said that in case of discussing maximum social welfare function, we left out the distribution aspects, and that's why in given income distribution situation, we are in position to have the grand utility possibility frontier that makes a tangent on the highest available social indifference curve, and that point E in the figure here is maximum social welfare point, or it is also called point of constant bliss. Conclusion here, Bergson emphasizes interrelation of the welfare of individuals, whereas Calder and Hicks assume them away and also ignore the problem of distribution. But aggregating individuals' preference into a single social preference presents serious problems like its shape that requires relative weight attached to each individual. And another difficulty, as Arrow pointed out in his social choice and individual values, that a consistent and truly representative social welfare function cannot be constructed if choice is to be made from more than two alternatives. Here, the limitations of two alternatives comes into effect as the total social welfare function analysis is based upon social indifference curve, and just like in case of indifference curve analysis, we are in position to compare the two situations only. So here is the same case. A social ordering must be consistent, transitive, and non-contradictory. But Arrow Professor Arrow shows that the majority rule will lead to contradictory social ordering. So these are the limitations, and with these limitations making it's operationally defined very difficult, and it's pose a challenge in its practical importance as a policy measure. However, having all these limitations, we can't rule out altogether with its importance and somehow its usefulness or the usefulness of social welfare function.